Farewell. Alright, this is gonna be chaotic for the overlays for now. This, this guy.
Overlay hype.
Oh, fuck my life. Alright, let me get Zeromus in the call. I guess he'll be your savior indirectly. So basically what we're going to be talking about is there's a bunch of nerds on Teamliquid that made a study to see what's the benefits of the Legacy of the Void mineral changes and what alternatives are out there to make the situation better. Because the way it worked in broodwar was your probes, your SCVs, your drones, they were dumb as fuck. But what that did is that the more expand you took, the better it actually made your economy, which is sort of the reverse of Legacy of the Void, where you're like pressured into expanding and defensive playstyles are basically dead. But let's Zeromus, are you in the call?
Yeah, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So how are you, buddy?
Good. Yourselves?
Good. So do you want to talk us through, like, how did you guys get started? Did, like, how long into the beta did you guys realize, like, this wasn't gonna, like, cut it as far as mineral model?
Well, I mean, I want to clear up one misconception that we're not saying the Legacy of the Void model is necessarily bad, just that we think it might be too extreme in the way it was applied.
Mm-hmm.
So, a quick history of the way the Legacy of the Void model works now is in BlizzCon they tried one where they dropped 1,200 minerals on every patch. People decided, you know, this just feels the same as Heart of the Swarm. You're going to get up to 3 bases, turtle, and just take a 4th, and stay on 3 bases, and take a 5th, and stay on, like, you know, just 3 bases shifting around the map. So they decided to do this half-patch approach where the bases mine out.
Mm-hmm.
So work on stuff like worker pairing and the issues that it brings up from a game model's perspective has been going on for like 3 or 4 years by a bunch of other people. Like the original idea for Double Harvest came from a user on Teamliquid called Black Lilium like 2.5 years ago or so. And maybe 6 months ago, maybe less, Uventak, the guy who makes Echo and does a lot of other mapping stuff, made a follow-up post that was really popular on Reddit for a little while. So what we're doing, try and add to the discussion. And we tried to do it as clearly as possible, and I took the approach of breaking it down from the start to the end in as many steps as it takes to make it really clear and really easy to understand for people.
Mm-hmm.
So we started working on it maybe a week and a half ago with a call with Plexa, who wanted to really do this, but due to his schedule he couldn't do the actual writing, so most of that fell on myself and Teowida and other people on my team.
Mm-hmm. And like, put it in like simple terms, like what would change from the early game with this current model that you're proposing? And for those that maybe didn't hear or didn't read the article, basically a worker would return 10 minerals per trip instead of 5, which tell us like what that would happen, what would happen if that was the case.
Right, so what we're doing is we're trying to interrupt the way that Heart of the Swarm works with the worker pairing. So in Heart of the Swarm, 16 workers is the most efficient, quote-unquote, per worker. So up until you get 16 workers, each worker makes 42 minerals a minute in Heart of the Swarm. And then starting with the 17th worker, they make like 41.5 minerals a minute, and then it slowly goes down from there. What we're doing is making 10 minerals a trip for the first 8, and then for all of the workers, and then for the first 8 you'll make 60 minerals a minute, almost. It's actually 57.9, but we'll just use 60 for simplicity's discussion. So you'll be making more minerals per minute with each worker with the first 8, and then starting with the 9th one, it goes down to 55 minerals a minute. Starting with the 10th, you go to 50. Starting with the 11th, it's 49, 47, and so on. So when you've got 24 workers on one base in Heart of the Swarm, you'll make about 820 or 830 minerals a minute. In our new model, you'll have the same thing. At 16 workers in Heart of the Swarm, you'll make something, let me check the numbers, you will make 672 a minute in Heart of the Swarm, in Heart of the Swarm time, and then we'll make about 710 in our model. So we're trying to stay as close to the 16 worker soft cap, if you will, and the 24 worker cap that's maxed out, because on the 25th worker, your income does not change at all. And we're trying to increase, we're trying to meet some of the design goals of the Blizzard design team in StarCraft 2, without necessarily doing it through half patches or through the 12 workers start. So your first 8 workers will give you more money in general, so your build order will be faster. So you'll have like 8 pylon or 8 supply depot, 8 overlord, you'll end up with like an 11 gate, and they'll put like a 13 Nexus or CC, that kind of thing. So you can speed up the game in the early game that way without starting with 12 workers, which has other effects that we're working on an article on right now. And on top of that, if you expand and you actually spread your workers, you're rewarded for expanding. So people can stay on lower base counts, but the opponent has the extra tool to expand a lot of times. And unlike in Heart of the Swarm, where 3 bases and 4 bases are almost the same amount of money, if you take that 4th or 5th base in our model, you actually end up with hundreds, if not thousands, of minerals more a minute compared to your opponent, as well as the extra gas. So that you can throw away an inefficient trade against the turtle army and still win in the long run, potentially.
So, Chris, you sort of cut everything, right? What do you think of this?
I definitely think it's an interesting way that you could take the game as far as changes and everything. My biggest complaint, I guess I would say, I don't know if that's even the right word, would be that, like, I love the broodwar economy, and I think this is like a harder step towards that than what they have. So I like that fact, but I don't like that how much it would change the game, where I feel like Blizzard's already taking the right steps to change the game, and if we just like I'm all for there being more changes and like experimenting, but at the same time it is a long beta, but there's so many things to balance already as far as units, and they're changing how fast the game's played, they're changing maps, how the economy works, all these things. Taking it to such an extreme level changes so much. Even like if you think about maps, if there's more expansions, people are expanding faster, there's bigger benefits and all that, it quickly can turn into like just like really heavy only macro games. And then you have like all these units being introduced, and the ones that we had in the past, like the Widowmine and the Disruptor, Mutalisk Harass and all this, where if you have less workers per base, there's less of those really cool moments where like a Widowmine kills 10, 15 probes, and that's a huge, you know, really cool moment in StarCraft 2, or a Disruptor, you know, goes into a mineral line, kills like 8 workers, 9 workers, and that's half the mineral line, and you're like, wow, that's like actually game-changing. Where in the model that you propose, as far as I understand it, the less workers / more bases you have per workers per base, the better the benefit, right? Correct?
In a sense. So what you're looking at is spreading your workers, so bringing back the idea of Maynarding. But in the end, you're still limited by how much of your bases you can save and how many workers you want to make. So ideally, you still want 13 or 14 workers on each base. The only time that stops being the case is if you cut workers at 48 on minerals, want a lot of gas, and have 6 bases, right? So it's kind of tempered. And I think if people have the opportunity to get to 4, maybe 5 bases and have 10 workers on each mineral line, but in the earlier mid-game, you might still have 16 workers on each mineral line, because it's hard to go to 4 or 5 base very quickly. You'll still have those kinds of interactions, I think.
But that's what I mean. Like this, the economy changes obviously are very scientifically proven. You showed that, and I read through it pretty in depth. I mean, I'm not like a genius or anything, but I did look over it in quite a bit. And the problem I see is the application as far as that, how that relates to units, and when those units are coming out, all the new changes Blizzard are already doing. And this would definitely be the most drastic change. I mean, as is, Legacy of the Void is the most drastic change Blizzard has ever made to the game. And then yours is taking it an even further step, which I think is really cool and interesting. But at the same time, how that correlates to the units and how they work and what their purpose is during the game. And then, you know, not even including all the map changes and everything like that. Bless you. I think like it's too far, to be honest. I think Blizzard's steps right now are good. The pace of the game seems so fast. It feels like the skill cap that can go with expanding and managing your economy and everything like that fits in really well with how much you can micro your units. And I feel like really good players will do really well in Legacy of the Void. People that have high APM can do multi-prong attacks, can harass while macroing. All those things are at a really good stage in Legacy of the Void, where I feel like with yours, it can kind of disrupt a lot of those things, whether it be like worker harass or the tempo of the game, or like even like the benefit of having more expansions. As is, you know, you can go up to like 4 or 5 base, and that's a challenge for me right now, managing my economy, where if you implement your method, it's that much harder. to babysit all those things, plus micro my units, plus like, you know, tech and multi-prong attacks and multitask. I like the pace that it's at now, and I feel like, to be honest, even though yours is very interesting and it does take a step further to like the Brood War-esque model, it doesn't necessarily correlate in the same way, because StarCraft 2 still is a very different game than what Brood War was.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally. Go ahead, desRow.
But one of the things with I think the Legacy of the Void model that we have right now is a little bit deceiving, because one of the point in the article is that there's no way to play defensive, and you feel very restricted. Like if you don't expand, you just die, and that just takes away a lot of options about StarCraft that we have now. Defensive play, seeing someone turtle for 3 hours is obviously not the most exciting way to play, but maybe in the long run, the model that Blizzard is running is just not good enough compared to other alternatives. So if for example, like 2 months from now, it's just like the aggressor has like such an advantage because the guy defending is like dying from not expanding, would you be open, Chris, to trying out this model?
I mean, yeah, I am open for anything, but
just your prediction right now is you think?
No, I don't think that'll happen. I feel like even watching Legacy of the Void is just like been out a week and a half, 2 weeks, but Snoot already found a good way of still turtling and being defensive while taking bases. There are units that can do that. Lurkers are going to be a key unit in doing that. So like to throw the game into that point and to test that, like the beta is going to be long no matter what, but there's so many new units and there's so many new combinations of tech paths that are going to happen every time you add a little bit more. It's not just you're adding one unit, you're adding like 3 or 4 different builds per that one unit. And there's still defensive play to be had in Legacy of the Void. So I don't agree with that statement at all, while still taking bases. And especially with all these units that control space well, like the Lurker, or like the tank buff, or the Disruptor even, in Stasis Ward, and all these things. So I don't think it's going to get to that point. And then more so, the overall objective, I feel like wasting time on trying a new economy model that might be too extreme would be really, really hard to do, in my opinion, at this point.
What about you, Nathanias? What are your thoughts on this whole thing?
I read the article. I looked into the economy changes, and so I mean, I personally I think that both solutions or whatever are significantly better than what we have in Heart of the Swarm. I still like having bases mine out faster, because I think that 3-base turtle play is boring as fuck. It's been the standard for the last 5 years of StarCraft 2, and it's not that we haven't had great games off of the current economy system. It's that you oftentimes run into these situations where players that make big commitments or whatever, blah 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 blah, they do something, they mess up, and then they fall back onto like 2 bases, and there's just enough money on those 2 bases for them to secure the 3rd, and then once you have 3 bases, it's like you're almost guaranteed to be able to max out unless you've really, really screwed yourself. And then, well, of course, then you move on to the 4th when your main mine's out. And like we all know how this goes. But I think that what's cool about Legacy of the Void is you have that pressure. I don't know how I feel about having the base. Like, you're already so spread out, and there's so much focus on harass for Legacy of the Void being put in, that if you have a lot less workers per base, like, regardless of how long it takes to mine them out, I know you don't have like those big impact moments you kill a lot of workers, but that if you're focusing on building less workers, it also makes me worried about, like, I don't know, like how useful workers will be for things like helping, like pulling them to defend, like defender's advantage type things, because it's not uncommon for Zerg players to heavily rely on that. Obviously, as a Terran, pulling workers to defend is a huge deal, no matter what base they're hitting of yours. I think Protoss is the only race where their workers just kind of suck in every respect as far as defense goes.
Yeah.
But like I don't think you can like if you might say it's like, oh yeah, but you only build you have like 5 bases with 10 SCVs at each one. I'm like, well, I don't want to have 10 SCVs at each base anyway. So like the way that Legacy of the Void pushes it is that you mine out those resources that are available faster, so you don't need as many there, so you don't have to worry about defending it as much, which is one of the reasons why I like the Void economy. But and I also think that it puts a lot more pressure on you to quickly expand. So a better player that can do that faster can make it work. But I'm not opposed to the idea of making more workers less efficient faster, like in the way that the double mining that you talked about,
The
in
double
the article.
harvesting, yeah.
Yeah, the double harvesting that makes it difficult to worker pair. Like I can see we're having double harvesting. Like you're basically doing that thing that Blizzard was talking about a long time ago, where you're kind of like forcing a way to break the game's AI by making them take twice as long, then they can't pair. So like the worker AI can't function the way that it was designed to, which makes having more bases better for your income overall. And I don't think that that's necessarily bad, but I still like the idea of bases mining out more quickly, because then you can punish people that like to turtle way too much.
Now, I agree with that. So we actually, when we were doing our study, I actually made a concession. I thought I like the fact that the Legacy of the Void bases mine out, but I dislike the fact that they mine out in a disproportionate way. I don't like the half patches, especially for Terran with mules. So I figured maybe, and also our mineral model mines out 5% quicker, flat out, on 16 workers per base. So you just mine out quicker to begin with by a little bit.
5% faster than the
five-
current
Then
legacy?
Heart of the Swarm,
Okay.
standard Heart of the Swarm.
How much you mine out faster in terms of Art of the Swarm to the new legacy? You haven't done a percentage for that, eh?
I've done studies, actually. I don't have a percent number, but in Legacy of the Void, to go from full base to nothing, it takes 9 minutes in Legacy of the Void time. And to mine out the first half patch, it takes 6 minutes 30, assuming there are no mules. If you drop the overall number of minerals at a base, so the BlizzCon model was, I think, 1175. I tested 1200. So in Legacy of the Void time, it takes 11 minutes to mine out a full base if it's at 1200 minerals. And in our model, it takes 10 minutes 30 seconds to mine out a full base at 1200 minerals. So I was looking at different numbers for total minerals. So I was thinking, if you start at 1300 or 1400, with our model, a full base will mine out at 11 minutes 30 seconds into the game at 1300. And this is in my Excel file, by the way. And at 1400, you mine out at 1217. So somewhere in between there, I think you could find kind of like a sweet spot, like a middle point between the Legacy of the Void model, where you just have less in general, and the double harvesting, where you can break the worker pairing. Because the biggest problem with Legacy of the Void, in my opinion, might end up being that the skill floor, because it is so skillful to take those extra bases, ends up going up, and ends up pushing more players who are just getting into the game kind of away, because they feel constricted in their opportunity to play the game and their options and how they approach it.
In my opinion, like the new Legacy of the Void model is much better than Heart of the Swarm. We saw the problem with what we had in StarCraft for the past few years is that, you know, Protoss going for like their 2 base all in for 20 minutes, and people taking 3 bases, and they're satisfied with that for the rest of the game. And then maybe Zergs take a 4th base only for the gas income. You don't really want to build more workers.
Exactly.
So in Legacy of the Void, they try to address that by basically forcing players to expand, you know, as the bases mine out. But the problem with the Legacy of the Void model is that it's not that you expand to increase your economy, it's that you expand to retain the economy that you already have. So you're still stuck with the same kind of problem that you're on, like sort of 3 base, between 3 base and 2 base economy all game long. So you never get this like insane fucking epic mass production into the super late game. It's still just you rush into mid game by taking 3 bases super quickly, just like you do in Heart of the Swarm, and then you settle with that because, you know, mass expanding, you're just gonna get run over. So you settle with that, and then you get your production early in the mid game, and you retain that production for the rest of the game while you're expanding, and you never really expand your economy, you just retain it. So that's why the broodwar model, you kind of went to like, let's say 8 factories when you were on 3 bases, but then later on to the game, when you were like, let's say split map against Protoss, even before maxing out, you would get to like 12 factories or 15 factories. You would start building factories at the other main base in the bottom left. Like, you would start spreading out, you know, consuming the whole map, and you get sick economy, you know, nothing compared to early mid game. And that's not really something that StarCraft 2 has seen yet. Like now you just put on mass production when you get 200 food just to remax instantly. It's not really to compensate for extra economy, since you don't really have extra economy. So I'm all for the broodwar economy, and I understand what HuK says, that, you know, it's hard to, you know, balance the game and so on, but I think already an economy change like this has already fucked one of our races so hard that they have no chance whatsoever, which is Protoss, of course. So, like, the balance is completely out the window at this point. You would have to do a lot to make Protoss viable in Legacy of the Void model, I feel like. So
Yes.
I'm all for a change like this. It makes a lot of sense, and I've said it since day one that, you know, the way economy works in StarCraft 2 is one of the underlying problems why it's such a just fucking turtle fest. You never expand, you never stretch out. And I think, like, what HuK said about harass is, I don't really agree that it's that exciting to see, like, a Widowmine drop just fucking blow up the entire
And
miner
ruin
line.
the game too.
Like what happens in Brood War when you send, like, harass, you would send, you know, some harass, you would kill some workers, and then it's like, oh, huge damage, he's gonna, like, lose 20% income for 1 minute, and that's a big deal. That's gonna open up some window. He's gonna get a small advantage. In StarCraft 2, it's like, in Heart of the Storm, you know, you fucking blow up the mineral line, and it's like, alright, well, he's gonna attack in 5 minutes, and the other player is gonna be dead. We know that, but in Brood War, you know, harass doesn't really operate in the same way. You don't really do terrible damage.
Yeah, and
Like, even if you storm a mineral line, then you storm a mineral line of the opposing player, then he's gonna say, oh shit, I don't have a mineral line anymore. Then they pull, like, some workers from every base and pull to that mineral line. You know, so they get back to decent economy again. It increases the skill cap, but it doesn't create, like, these moments where you say, well, this game is over, but you know,
that
we're
makes
just
it
gonna
boring
wait
too.
on for them to, you know, build up, and then you can finish the game. So I think it makes harass, you know, more fundamentally like how it's supposed to be in an RTS way, and also, you know, by the production increasing as the game goes longer, it just makes a lot more sense that you will get to, you know, this sick production. And I'm not talking about putting down 3 Stargates and starting going carriers. I'm talking about, you know, putting down like 10 more barracks than we normally do and just start producing like crazy. And it would be, when a player spread out so much, that then it just naturally becomes that you harass many bases. You don't really enforce it the way Legacy of the Void does. So I think it makes a lot of sense to do something like this. But then again, we're talking about Blizzard here. I think there's no way something like this is going to happen. You know, this discussion has come up in StarCraft 2 many times, and I'm not sure why it's catching attention right now, because what you're proposing is not a new idea of any sort.
Oh, I know it's not, yeah.
It wasn't like a guy who invented it 2.5 years ago. This has been, you know, it's just the same idea as Brood War. And I don't think it's going to happen. And I don't think, you know, it's interesting to talk about. Like, yeah, that would improve the game, but I don't think there's any way that this is ever going to get into the game. But I'm all for it.
I think it's worthwhile to at least try pushing it as a community. People who really like it to say, you know, maybe we should give this a try. At the very least, ask Blizzard to put the extension mod on Legacy of the Void, because I don't have access to Legacy of the Void. So, to be honest, if Nathanias is okay with me saying this, we're working with him to try and set up some show matches. It's really early stages in Heart of the Swarm with this extension mod to see how it plays out in that model. And then I would love to see Blizzard upload it as an extension mod into Legacy of the Void, so we could run like custom games and try it there and see how it feels, even if they're not going to put it live on ladder, and then maybe start pushing it that way. Because I think from other games at least, it takes a long time, but with time you can eventually convince people like dev teams to try stuff. Like Counter-Strike Go, the movement in that game was broken for about 1.5 years, and then eventually with enough community they changed the way the movement and acceleration of that game worked and other such things, and it started to take off as it became a little bit more lessons learned from 1.6 and Source, right? Like, take the good but keep the new stuff. So there are 3 things that you brought up, MorroW, that I want to touch on, if that's okay with you guys, if you have time. The first would be production. And part of the problem that I've been seeing, and I've had people mention to me, especially Terrans, when it comes to playing Legacy of the Void, is that you'll have an economy on 2 base, you'll build your production, and then you'll take a third, and then you don't have enough money to use all your production, but if you didn't make the production, you wouldn't have the army you have now to defend your third. So you end up in this weird situation where you have to spend a certain amount of money on production, and then you've got like a barracks that isn't doing anything, but it did stuff before, and it's kind of useless because you don't have the money. And then on top of that, mules mining bases out really fast in Legacy of the Void, especially on the half patches. So if you don't want to manage the mule dropping minerals from the close patch, you have to put them on the far patch, but then you run out of money so much quicker, that kind of thing. And just the fact that the economy does feel a little bit more punishing if you don't happen to get an expand. My biggest worry is that strategies will start to be focused around how to deny third bases as opposed to how to take bases, or they'll go to the other extreme where it becomes how to take a base and hold it really well, and aggression on it's going to be useless. Like one or the other is going to end up happening eventually, and it becomes this kind of same like push and pull that we saw in StarCraft 2, Heart of the Swarm even, where you have certain attacks that are really good off 2 base that kill third bases and put the other person behind super far, and you do a follow-up attack, or the alternative.
That's
Yeah,
I think that's sorry. I think that's the biggest problem from Blizzard's perspective, is that you're introducing something that's so new and so different further than what they already had proposed, and then everything other than that will change drastically.
I think you make a really good point about the 3 bases. And like I was saying, like the only thing that I think is really tricky about it is because you have so many different, and this also comes into like the fact that they're testing the economy changes with the new units is like really crazy, because it's hard to get useful results from any experiment when you change so many variables at once. Like, you know, let alone the economy, but all the new beta units that aren't like really fully ironed out. But like aside from my complaint that like if you have to pull workers to defend, and I only mean in like the early game, because each worker you pull is just like that much more impactful on your economy, especially since you have to use a lot of them to repair. Right. Like as a Terran.
I respond to that directly after.
Yeah, but I think the other thing, like you make a really good point with the Void economy, is still you run into the issue of those base denial strategies, because I think even at like not necessarily like the top level, there are some builds that are really, really strong. Like for a long time, it was like, you know, most like a lot of Zergs you saw almost every game, like the 1/1 Roach push, which was purely designed to deny a third base so that the Terran couldn't get enough economy up to like handle like a Roach Hydra push, or I'm trying to think of what else, like Protoss would like they do an attack just to delay the third so that the Immortal Sentry all in could get the kill. Like a lot of like really powerful econ delay plays. And I do think that that'll be an even bigger thing going into Legacy of the Void if they're playing around very strong units. So I think having a bit of longevity to the bases isn't necessarily bad. Like the pressure to expand, I think should always be there though. I agree. I'm still very, very, very strongly against a player being able to situate themselves on 2 or 3 bases and calling it a day, or like being able to handle everything from 2 bases without, you know, without like
right, which is why I'm okay with the concession of dropping overall mineral counts and gas counts at each base alongside this model. Like, I just didn't write that into the article because discussing mine out times would have added like another 10 pages, right? If I really wanted to go into it.
Yeah,
and it's already
there's a lot of different ways to calculate that.
It's 25 pages double spaced as it is, right, in words. So it's a lot of work.
I understand. I understand that.
What about it's really off topic. The mule, is it changed with the double harvesting?
No. The cool thing is you keep the mule. So the main thing we tried to do.
So it nerfs the mule indirectly then.
No, actually. It's really interesting. So the way it works is at 16 workers in our model, you're making a tiny bit more than at 16 in Heart of the Swarm, but it's almost the same. It's like a 5 to 10% difference, 16 workers versus 16 workers on the 1 mineral patch. So per base, 16 workers will make the same amount of money just about in Heart of the Swarm as it does in our model in Legacy of the Void if you were to apply it. Just about the same.
No, it's still just, it's gonna favor Terran.
Right, so the mules themselves
in some
don't
kind of way.
change.
Yeah, but if you change the economy for the rest, but not for the mules, then Terran is gonna have a skewed economy different from.
Yeah,
but then again, like
the
balance of the game is gonna change completely. So even if the mule is gonna get slightly better, in some timing windows, it doesn't really matter because the whole game is going to be different anyway.
Exactly, and I
But
think
I'm
that,
wondering if you have considered like not allowing like having mules overlap with SCVs, not allowing that, because then they would be treated with the same, you know, the way
I think
the new
that's one of
economy
those
works.
changes that you would have to see through gameplay and see how much more the mule actually impacts the Terran for certain timings and other timings.
I'm
But
just wondering what's the reason why it shouldn't be done like that to begin with.
to begin
We don't-
with, in
no
Heart
idea.
StarCraft 2, I don't know why it didn't begin with, in my opinion. Like, I think being able to drop a ton of mules and them ignoring collision or mining as like a saturation point on a mineral line has always been an issue in StarCraft. But the balance is built around it, so it's not a big deal right now. But it's just always been an issue. Like, I remember the games that Jinro would play in GSL, and like when he'd won that game on Crevasse and beat, I don't even remember, I think it was Idra, and then he's like, oh, yeah, Marines are free, because the mules were so good at the time and he could drop so many mules. So the game's just balanced around the mule, and in the grand scheme of things, your average worker on an average base, the mule is no better or worse. It just is the same. You still get 270 minerals over the lifetime of the mule.
Okay, so before we move on, I just have one final question and one final statement. As far as
Go
when
ahead.
the Starbow thing was introduced, was that economy different than what was in Heart of the Swarm? Yes or no?
Starbow was very different, actually.
It was
like very
different in a
good
lot of
warlike?
ways.
Yeah,
it was
they're doing it
more
like
like
Broodwar also.
Okay, got it. Thank you. And then past that, I honestly think that Blizzard would never implement this full scale into Legacy of the Void, but I think a very good ask that could reasonably happen, as you said, having it being some kind of extension or something in Legacy of the Void is definitely possible, I think.
I think it'd be cool to test it, because in my opinion, I think that the balance overall isn't that different from this, because you're actually keeping the mining curve very similar to Heart of the Swarm as it is, over a number of base counts.
Yeah.
And you're just giving them an early bump in the mineral to make the early game build orders go quicker, and maybe add a few more minerals in the mid game for mineral-based harass or quicker expansions.
I understand that, but at the same time, like I said, I don't think Blizzard would fully implement this. I feel like they want to. They feel like they have so much to balance as is, and they're introducing so many new things. They don't want to just completely like, okay, let's just go off on another tangent here and just try this completely new economy, and then if it doesn't work out or it's too hard to balance after that, we can go back in 2 or 3 months. You know, the problem is they want to balance the game and have it released at some point later this year or early next year, and to do all these changes, and then maybe having to revert back halfway through or months down the line. That's what they want to avoid. So I think asking for some kind of extension or some way that people can test it and play it, similar to Starbow. Obviously, I think it would probably be bigger than Starbow. That is a reasonable ask, and I'm saying this as someone I know you're very passionate about this, and you want to push
totally.
it.
No, I've spoken with people before, and I understand
Okay.
your perspective and where you're coming from on that and the ask. So that's why I think that's a good ask. But at the same time, I think if it turns out that it is a good idea and we get the extension out there and people really enjoy it, it's worth having people like yourselves and other pro players kind of push it as, at least honestly, I would be so happy if this was even out for a week, and then everybody said, nope, this is garbage, we were wrong, and
But
then it's gone.
that'll never
And I'd be,
happen.
like, so happy. I know, that's why I'm saying the extension mod's the
No,
next
I
best
mean
one.
even the week thing. If they implemented it for a week, there's never going to be a time that all the pro players are going to say no. There'll always be like some percentage, 70-30,
Right.
60-40, 55-45, whatever. And then it's hard for Blizzard I'm just saying from like a company standpoint
I
to like
understand that as
implement
well,
it and then be like, well, fuck, now like 55% of them like it and 45 don't. Do we go back? Do we stay with this? We give it like 3 more months, and then the game's delayed 3 more months if it doesn't work out in the long run or whatever. So, but I definitely think it's really interesting, and I of course would love to see anything that's pushing expansions being a positive thing instead of a necessary thing. But I think as far as the way we've discussed it, everybody said in general what they've had to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So thank you so much, Zeromus, for coming on. I really enjoyed
worries,
our
man.
discussion.
Me too.
And,
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and hopefully it works out for you, and the game gets better no matter which Blizzard chooses.
Yeah, I'll play it no matter what. I just, from a philosophical perspective, I prefer the reward expansion as opposed to punish for not,
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Thank you so much again.
No worries. Have
Take
a good
care.
one, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right,
Good
guys.
discussion.
Yeah, no, it was
That was
yeah, MorroW MVP of that discussion. By the way, really, you like. If you were a politician, MorroW, I'd be fucking voting for you and campaigning for you.
Imagine if I got to talk during the other discussion. I would maybe be MVP of each and every one of those. But like I said, maybe next time.
Come on, man. All right, we have a Patreon call-in. It's calling in.
Word. Am I already here?
Yes, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
How's it going, desRow?
It's good.
What's up, guys? Hey, I had a question for HuK. So, let's see. So, I remember hearing what you were saying about the idea of not wanting to implement these economic changes because they would require too much time. And I think that's kind of confusing. Like what is the beta for if not for like trying to try out new things that could be innovative and help the game out in general? Like why would you not be interested in trying out different economies in this kind of state?
No, I'm. It's not as far as being interested or not. Of course, I'm very interested, and I would always like to see the game taking a step towards the brood war-esque era of economy and management. The point I'm making is the reason this beta is so much longer than the other betas, whether it be Wings of Liberty or Heart of the Swarm, is because Blizzard is making drastic changes to Legacy of the Void as is. So they're making these drastic changes, and that's why the beta is that much longer. That's why they've said it's going to be extended and all that. But the further you take that, the longer that beta is. So for me, I personally don't want to see the beta lasting, potentially 2 years, and us, waiting that much longer for the game to come out.
Right.
And if they like, the scenario that could happen and is very plausible is that they implement these changes, and then obviously everything game-wise is going to be balanced off the economy, whether it's the current Legacy of the Void, Heart of the Swarm, or the proposed changes that we just discussed. And you can't balance a game based on Legacy of the Void, go to this different model, test it out, try to balance the game, change the maps, because it's not just the economy that's going to change. Everything from, like, the economy is the ground, and then the house is all the other balance changes, whether it's build orders or units or whatever, even drop harass, unit, what roles units are supposed to fill, things like that. And you can't, start a new foundation from the ground up, and then, it just doesn't end up working out. Like, they would have to change, multiple units, they would have to change, how the maps work, they would have to change all these things, and they can't, test that for 4 or 5 months, let's say.
Right.
Obviously, I don't know how long, and then say, there's too much, there's no way it's like a totally different game. We can't, balance this game and all these units. And then, because you got to understand, they're coming out with Legacy of the Void beta now, but they've been working on Legacy of the Void longer than just a week ago.
Oh, yeah.
So they have been working on all these units, and they can't just, all of a sudden, okay, well, all these new changes, we got to change all these units. They don't really fit into this new game and this new economy, so now the beta is going to, be another year or something.
Certainly the change would be comprehensive, but you read the article, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and there's a lot of, but if you look at a lot of the graphs, the actual economics of it is very similar to, this is even what he was saying, very similar to what we're working with now in Legacy of the Void or Heart of the Swarm. That's why I just kind of find it confusing, because sure, the worker would have a different place in the economy, like that would be different, and maybe bases would be different, even though I think they would be relatively similar to Legacy of the Void. But actually, personally, I don't think it would change that much of the unit's role. Maybe a few things, but I think mainly it would change production and the way you come about having an economy, and that's why I don't know. That's what I thought was funny.
I mean, you heard him say that there could be a lot of problems, really big problems, where it's you get to 3 base and then you just try to defend, and if you do that, you're going to have a huge advantage and you can almost win the game. Or there's certain you just try to contain them on 2 base, and then if you're able to do that while expanding yourself, you can win the game. There's a lot of scenarios that you're not really thinking of. I agree the economy is very similar, but the payouts and
I think
the tempo of the game are going to be very, very different.
But you could say the same thing about Heart of the Swarm in a lot of ways. there's strategies that can be used the same way, but people figure out those things, and like yes, there are potential things that could go wrong, but like if you have the option to benefit from something so far and going like doing something that has so much potential, especially that when you could see it, that broodwar had the ability of creating something that was so much more varied and strategic. Like, what's not good about trying that kind of thing? I don't know. Time,
Like
I guess.
like the thing is, it's just not. It's not like you're just throwing in a new like small little change, like even a unit. It's like you. It's like HuK said. You want to change like the ground foundation of the whole game. It's gonna change absolutely everything. You can't just try something like that out for a few months and see how it is. It doesn't work like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
well, yeah, we'll be dreamers. There's place in this
Dreamer.
world for dreamers.
All
Yes.
right.
Thank you so much for calling
I'm
in.
done. All right. Thank you. Peace.
Yeah, the overall thought, and I think this is a fair ask, and it's a great perspective for all parties involved. Have it be an extension of some sort, very comparable to Starbow, and that way Blizzard isn't investing, all their time, all their employees, in balancing something that may or may not work out. But at the same time, if that extension's out there and players really love it, and the community really love it, and there's show matches and there's stuff, and everybody really, really supports this, and they think it's a great direction, then Blizzard could take that risk. Blizzard has always been a very safe and slow company when it comes to this. Legacy of the Void is already a huge step, in my opinion, in a great direction, where they're willing to do something. But to push them and to expect them to change something as drastic as this, when all of Wings of Liberty, all of HOTS has been so different already to compared to the Legacy of the Void, and to take it a step further, I think it's just, I'm trying to be reasonable, because I do want to see this, and I do think it's an interesting concept, but to like push Blizzard and think that they're actually just going to implement something like this when they've been planning for this Legacy of the Void change for months, if not years, and then they're just going to be like, oh, okay, this guy thinks this is better. Well, fuck our 2 years or whatever we invested. Let's just try this. It's not going to happen.
Yeah,
So
exactly. They probably like already like thought about changing the economy for a very long time, and they weighed their options. I can bet you like my fucking ass that they considered having broodwar economy, but at the end of the day they chose to go with the easier path, the Legacy of the Void economy, because it's still very similar to Heart of the Swarm economy, because you're staying on 2 to 3 base economy, so it kind of works the same way, and in early game it kind of works the same way, because you're building up your economy, you're going to 16 workers and all that, whereas this is just it's very different. And you got to think, like, ask Blizzard, how long do they really want StarCraft to be alive before people figure out, like, oh, well, this is kind of shit, everything is figured out now. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about? Like, yeah, it took us a long time to really display the problems of the economy in StarCraft 2. People like me were saying even from the beginning, like, oh, people are just gonna turtle on 2 bases, turtle on 3 bases. You can't go up to higher economy. I remember Lelouch was writing articles about it left and right, and like nobody gave a shit, and so on. So you got the new Legacy of the Void economy, but I think it's only a matter of time before people start saying, well, this still doesn't feel great. I don't think this is the absolute best way to have StarCraft 2, but I think Blizzard decides to go with this because it's the easiest option, because it's already similar to Heart of the Swarm, and it's gonna be much easier to balance the tournaments. They're gonna go towards 50-50 win ratio at a quicker pace and so on, and we're gonna have some good years of Legacy of the Void, and then I think they're gonna be done with it. Whereas with something like this, you were looking at like a longer term plan for creating a better RTS, and it would take a longer time, but I think in the end the game would be better. But you gotta think, like, as Blizzard, like, do you really want the game to be
as a
how long pace do you really want to drag this out to make like, how successful do you really want the game to be, or do you just want it to be good for a few years?
I don't
Do
know.
you understand like my point?
I definitely, that's what I'm always trying to do is like from a business company standpoint, they're not, you know, all millionaires who are just doing this as a passion hobby, trying to create the perfect game, the most interesting game. They're doing this as a company, as a business who, to some degree, love StarCraft 2 and want to see it be a successful esports. But at the end of the day, they only have a certain amount of people. They only have a certain amount of time. They can only invest in so much. You can't just think of all these possibilities that could or could not be bad and then expect them to invest in them completely and fully. You know, the community wants them to do skins. They want them to do more ladder-based tournaments. They want complete region lock. They want partial region lock. Like every time these discussions come up on Reddit or, you know, or TL articles or whatever, Blizzard looks at them and they do consider it, but they have to decide like what's worth investing. Even when we discussed the region lock last year, I was fucking like just yelling at the top of my lungs, talking to everybody, going like complete edgy on Twitter, saying it needs to be a full region lock. And then even then, more than half the community was like, that's bullshit. You just want free money. Fuck foreigners. Like, compete with the best. And now, you know, a year later, everybody's like, it should have been a full region lock. What the fuck, Blizzard? Your rules are so shitty. So everybody likes to fucking, you know, go with the tide at the current time, but Blizzard's a company and they're going to try to do what they can for the game. Of course, they won't have the best intentions, but they can't always completely explore every option to the fullest extent.
I think in an alternate reality where Lelouch and Zeromus would have like made an Archon and would have worked on this for like since Wings of Liberty, and Blizzard would have taken a look at that, because the thing about this Legacy 12 worker thing, Blizzard listened to Lelouch quite a lot, but they didn't agree to dumb down the worker to make it more like broodwar. They didn't want to do that, but they didn't know about the double harvesting. They didn't have that option back then, and I think if they did, and just like MorroW explained during the debate earlier, I think if they did and they chose that path, I think it would have been better, but we'll never know, just because, like you said, we have to be realist and they don't have infinite money and time. So moving on from that, the Twitter questions and the Reddit questions, let's get to it. Get on Twitter, use hashtag SC2Remax, type !Reddit in the chat to go leave a comment on Reddit, although at this point you might be too late to the boat and you might not get a lot of upvotes. Can we get Judge HuK's opinion on Avelo map hacking analysis of the Winter HuK Legacy of the Void game?
I didn't look into it at all, to be honest. If Elo asked me for the replays, I obviously don't approve of Winter, so I was more than willing to give them up if it actually proved to be anything. But if it was that obvious, there would have been a huge riot. It seems inconsistent enough, just judging from like general people's opinions in Reddit, that I wouldn't, as desRow likes to say, lynch him yet, pulling the underwear or whatever.
Hey, yeah. I didn't know that was the word, man.
Giving you a wedgie?
Yeah, there's a story behind this. I was streaming. I was on call with desRow, and desRow's like, I don't know how did it come up. It was just something like,
we should
it's not
lynch
that
them.
big. Yeah, he said we should lynch them, and I said, dude, that's a little extreme. He's like, what do you mean? It's like a 2 out of 10, man. That's where you take their underwear and you pull it, right? And I'm like, dude, that's a wedgie. I was like, do you know what lynching is? He's like, no. I'm like, lynching is like when the KKK would take an African American and like hang him from the tree until he's dead. I'm like, that's not a 2 out of 10, man. That's like a 10 out of 10. Your day is pretty poor, all right? Like,
it's like, yeah. I mean, historically speaking, lynchings were like public executions of sorts, where the whole town kind of ganged up on you, man. That's a bit different than a wedgie.
Well, I mean, that day I learned a lot. So, okay, so that answers the question. Velo, maybe jumping the gun. HuK, do you think Axiom is a Korean charity team, just like Total Biscuit says, all foreign pros are charity cases?
Wow, this is such a loaded question. People are like trying to make me go full edge. That being said,
unload
yeah,
HuK.
It is to a certain degree. This is like such a PR answer, but I'm training, man. Let's see. To a certain degree, Total Biscuit is picking the players based on his personal relationships with it, not necessarily based on their skill or marketability. If he wanted to do a successful team, he would pick up Western players. He has Western sponsors. He's North American resident. everything points to, if he wanted like a better business model and he wanted to be successful and profitable off of making a team, he would pick up Western players. If he wanted the Korean powerhouse and he wanted to, go after Korean sponsors, vice versa, he'd pick up really strong Korean players. He walks the middle of the road because it's not a business to him. It is something he wants to break even on, but at the end of the day, it's just a passion / a hobby for him. He likes these players, he believes in them, and he wants to give them the opportunity to be professional StarCraft 2 players, and that's all that is to him. It's not like he's trying to become EG or even Teamliquid or any other team that wants to actually make a business model off of it.
All right. MorroW, how does it feel to know that your early Wings of Liberty Reaper builds are still relevant in Pro League?
Yeah, I heard about that. Some guy said somebody took 5 racks Reaper today.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So how does it feel?
That wasn't even my build in 2010, but I guess I popularized it.
Yeah. Well, you won a lot of money with it.
Maga told me
I mean,
about that build. It was a Korean
He
build.
didn't need tech labs. He didn't need tech labs for it in this game. though.
Hey, Nathanias, you're really quiet. Thank you.
Fuck you, desRow.
Thank you. But go on.
I was just saying that you didn't. His build is better because he doesn't need tech labs now.
Oh, I
Now
see.
it's more refined now, I see.
It's more refined.
MorroW, we've seen you stream a lot with Nathanias lately, and he seems to be in a good place right now. How do you plan to get him miserable and angry so he can be a top player again?
I don't know, man. Like I think he gets like miserable at least one time every day. Mostly because of Majestic in PvP or Portrayas in Swarm host. I think it's plenty of miserable guys.
Mm-hmm.
He has the potential.
MorroW, are you annoyed that if you search for SC2 MorroW Twitter and Google, Nathanias, Winter, Teja, and Ret all show up before you?
I was not aware of this.
Mm-hmm.
I have no response.
Oh yeah, but MorroW's Liquipedia shows up first for me. Then it's Nathanias' Twitter, then Teja, then Winter, then Ret. Actually, MorroW's Twitter doesn't show up at all. Not for me. Your Twitch does though.
Hey,
Well, slowly walking that hashtag road to relevancy. Someday, guys.
Nathanias, have you tried playing a real game like StarCraft 2?
Oh, I've seen that video.
I saw it last night too.
It's a great video.
I
Are
chuckled
these the
silently
top
to
voted
myself.
questions?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
This
they
is
are.
at least you weren't getting baited,
Yeah.
man. This is just
I
like
mean,
a fluff question. Like, just say you could say
Yeah,
like quack
yeah.
quack at this point, and people would be like, "Oh, Mario's so funny, quack quack."
Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of questions. Like, fuck.
You even surf?
How often would you like the beta being updated? Basically, would you rather stick with an update to really test it out, or just have lots of update where you can say it's shit and it gets updated as soon as possible? Let's start with MorroW.
I think one time every week is good.
Oh, really?
In early beta, everything is like so imbalanced that it's kind of 1 week you can kind of tell
But
already
there's like
what's
no
imbalanced or not.
players playing though.
Yeah, but
More
like
people in
even
it, obvious.
Yeah.
I think anyone at this point, like with a brain, could say that the Cyclone was a bit too strong, so it got nerfed, or the Adapt was too weak.
Yeah, if I had any answer for that, I would only want them to, if they could, when they make changes, to try and tweak one thing at a time or work on one area at a time. Like for finding what makes things work or not work, changing more than one variable at a time is generally seen as a bad thing to do, and I don't think it makes it easy to know if a fix works or if it was something else that was also included in a patch.
Yeah, but this is like fucking the first day of, like I said, the first patch.
Yeah.
Like in the
Fuck
beginning,
Ravagers,
it should be
Cyclones.
very fast and then slowly slow down,
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion, anyway.
I'll give you that.
Chris, do you agree with that?
Yeah, in general. I mean, there's no like one size fits all kind of situation, but in general, I think MorroW has a very good idea of what should happen. When things are like obviously imbalanced at the beginning, it's a lot easier, and then as you get closer and closer to what Blizzard ideally wants is like 50-50% matchups, then you start tweaking a little bit slower. Especially this early, it's not even about like is the game balanced, it's about like is this unit the role we want it to be right now? Like, is it filling that role? And that's why, like, even though Protoss sucks right now, it's obvious they are not pushing for the 50-50 win rate. They're just pushing for, like, we want the Adept to be useful, let's try to make it useful. We want the Lurker to be used more, let's make it used more. We think the Cyclone's, like, too much, but we want it to still be used on a regular basis. All right, let's nerf it a little bit. That's just that general outlook they're trying to do right now.
Next up, Nathanias, tell us what daily life in Sweden was like. Did you live with the Muslim? Did you have separate beds?
I mean, the Muslim and I slept in the same room. He had a bed and I had a couch because he's been living there longer than me.
Oh,
like,
okay.
I would wake up. So I would wake up earlier than Ben because I don't know, and we both went home at the same time, but he just managed to sleep. So I would sleep maybe like 6 hours. I would go to the office at maybe like 9 or 8, and then I'll get breakfast. I like to get croissants when I'm in Europe for breakfast. And then I would watch Pro League, or usually Pro League or GSL would be on, and then I would ladder like in between those games. I didn't do a lot of streaming because I was in an office space, and a lot of people got rustled when I did stream because I was like, if I'm going to stream, I can't have my microphone on because of people talking about important stuff. So I mostly just laddered and just chilled. I didn't do anything super crazy. I checked out some cool stuff and got some cool pictures, and I don't know, hung out a couple nights. Nothing crazy.
So Sweden, top 5 country? Top 3?
I fucking love Sweden. It's the greatest place ever. I'm gonna move to Stockholm eventually. It's on my list.
Nice. Nathanias, what did you think of the Ding It Malware Invitational? Is it true that the prize pool was funded by the Ding It Bitcoin miner that installs automatically?
What kind of question is this?
This is from Lost Patrol. He's been having like really good questions so far.
They're not really good questions. They're like
this question is
questions.
like derp. I don't know, man. I haven't followed any dang it TV things. I have no fucking clue. I didn't watch any of it. I don't install programs on my PC other than my internet browser and StarCraft. That's how you keep your shit tight. Okay.
Okay.
And Hearthstone, of course.
I said, you know, I Steam in the
Well,
battle.
you're not gonna admit to that, but you can admit to playing fucking G2A5.
What are you talking about? I was talking about how I installed Hearthstone on my phone during today's show. It came out for iPhone today, guys. Life is so good, isn't
Why
it?
are you advertising? You're
Look
killing
at my fucking
StarCraft.
passion. My fucking passion right here.
Oh, so it's okay to have it on your phone, but not on your PC. Interesting.
So,
if I'm on my PC, I'm not gonna play a mobile game.
So what are our thoughts on Firecake and then the Muslims' reaction to Firecake's behavior? Nathanias.
I mean, it was awkward for me because I was casting with the Muslim, but the thing is, the Muslim tells me all the time about how much he hates playing versus him because he's so BM to everybody on Europe. Whenever I talk to any European players, all they ever tell me is how BM Firecake is. So, like, I could understand why he took the opportunity to basically just take a hot steaming shit on Firecake. But, I mean, it was just weird for me because I was, you know, we were kind of casting. So, I don't know. I just had to, like, deal with it.
HuK, what are your thoughts on the Firecake going AFK during Happy's match?
Fucking standard.
But do you think that it should like be punished, or do you think it's okay?
Yeah. No, I think it for sure should be punished.
But it's not in the rules, though.
It's unsportsmanlike. There's rules that you're supposed to be a fucking, like, every tournament ever is gonna have some rule that's like you need to be sportsmanlike and not be a douchebag. TLDR, and it's gonna be worded a lot more lengthy than that. But that's basically gonna be the sum of it. Now, Firecake has been a douchebag for a really long time. He's never treated me like a douchebag, but there's enough cases where I can comfortably say that he is a bit of a dickhead, to be honest. And yeah, he should for sure be punished. IMO. I don't think there's any, like, should he be banned from every event this year? No, but should there be like some kind of like slap on the wrist or something? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, to me, Firecake is a really important part of our scene, and for him to do something like that, it makes me sad because I don't want him to be banned. I want him to stay and be able to play in every tournament possible. So hopefully he gets his shit together and he doesn't cross the line too often. But I really like Firecake. What are your thoughts, Mo?
I think it's fun. He should keep doing that until he gets banned.
Does he do it to you on ladder?
Solution.
Does he do it? Yeah.
What do you mean? What does he do?
Like the AFK, like versus Naniwa, he just.
Yeah, he does that in ladder games.
But does he do it to you?
I don't think so. Like, I don't know his barcode, so. Like, I'm the only guy in Europe who doesn't keep track of barcodes, so. But he's probably done it against me, because I played against some fucking Grandmaster who done it. Must have been him, right?
Okay.
But yeah, like, he's the villain, right? So he's supposed to do those edgy things.
Of course.
We like it. And we
It
like
gives us something to
discussing.
talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys, the most important question of the show. Did you actually watch all 4? If so,
I did.
do you feel a little bit guilty?
No.
Why?
I feel nothing. I feel nothing. No
Why?
remorse.
Really?
Yeah.
All 4 code.
Like, what's the question? No, fuck you. Come
That's
on
the
now,
question. I literally said it word by word.
It's not Code groups, man. We all know what we're talking about here.
Game of Thrones.
I'm
Except
still on
me.
season 2. I'm still on season 2.
How
man.
can
I
you
don't
be
know.
on season 2? Where's your
Because I'm
passion?
busy playing. I'm
What?
busy playing StarCraft. Fuck you.
Game of Thrones
Jeez.
tomorrow.
Oh,
That's
no
more episodes.
spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
No spoilerino.
like, do I feel bad that
I
little
need to
bit
close
that I
fucking
didn't-
Chat room.
I didn't watch it through HBO or whatever? Somewhat. Because, but, like, I don't have any options right now. Like, I blame them for not giving, like, a better service for me
Yeah.
to watch it. If they gave me the outlet to pay for it and watch it, I would. But they don't, so that's where I stopped caring as much. I feel a little guilty about that. As far as being, like, a degenerate and just, like, fucking spending a day watching 4 episodes and watching WCS on the second monitor, no, man. I'm all about that life. When I found Battlestar Galactica, I was gone from life for a week, man. I was just, like, ordering pizza, fucking sitting there. Like, I'd wake up, watch it the whole day. It'd be nighttime, go to bed. Wake up in the same chair, next day. Like, nothing but, like, just fucking, oh my god.
I'm the exact same way, man. Yeah, that's the only way.
Yeah, for me, I didn't feel guilty watching it, but I'm really sad that it got leaked because I really enjoyed the discussion on Reddit, the Game of Thrones subreddit, and then the book subreddit, Song of Fire and Ice, and all the theories and all the, like... Yeah, it was just really nice reading on Reddit after an episode, and since they all got leaked at once, it was really
I
shitty.
cannot believe they killed off Sansa already. That's fucking insane.
Alright, guys, well, please don't unsubscribe and don't unfollow, and...
Honestly, how could they kill Sansa Stark that
Are
quickly?
are they in good quality?
480p.
Pretty good.
Okay.
Alright. Okay, let's see. I'll take a question or two from Twitter and then we'll be done. Making it difficult, guys. Oh, from DJ Eliam on Twitter. You think Blizzard Kespa will do anything regarding match fixing with MVP / Marine King?
No.
You want to hear what's going to honestly happen with this? And this is something that I probably know more about than, like, almost anybody, even the esport insiders behind the scene.
Yeah.
This is what's going to happen, man. You have these kids that are getting paid little to nothing, especially on the ESF teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're playing these matches, aka Pro League matches, that are worth almost nothing to them. Sure, eventually they might do well and their team might do well, and they might see like some small benefit from it. But all in all, they're like meaningless show matches to them. They get no monetary gain from winning a single match. Then you have this really big betting scene going on in Korea where there's a lot of money to be made. And the amount of money you can make throwing a match is significantly bigger, obviously, since you make little to nothing playing these matches. You get little to no benefit from being on an ESF team, especially not
What
even
matches are we talking about?
Pro League matches.
Oh, okay.
In general, of course, you can still throw GSL matches or stuff like that, but at least you're trading something. You're trading, a small amount of money potentially for a larger amount of money. But when you think about Pro League matches, it's literally no money to a lot of money. So you have this situation that is very uneven right now in Korea. And it's the same, like, no matter how you view it in sports, including esports, which are basically sports in the betting world right now, if not worse, there's always going to be match fixing. No matter what, boxing, baseball, anything. There's always going to be some level of match fixing as long as there's betting going on. And you add all these toxic bad elements, such as players just not getting any monetary gain from playing games, and it's of course going to lead to match fixing. Now, how widespread or how bad that is up to who you ask and how much they know. For me, who have a lot of Korean friends, and I have a few insiders that would know more about this, it's pretty bad right now in Korea. So what's going to end up happening, most likely, it's like a bubble, man. It's the longer you ignore it, the worse it's going to be later on, as long as we continue the trend we are on now. If it totally got exposed right now and there was 2 or 3 players that were deemed guilty and they got punished and that hindered people throwing matches where you could get banned from your team or StarCraft 2 for a year, that would be good. That would be the best case scenario. And there would still be a lot of backlash and it would still be a pretty big hit to StarCraft 2 scene. But if you wait, like what happened in broodwar, and there's a huge scandal and it's like a large percentage of really cool, fun games totally get proven to be match fixed, like months, if not a year down the line, it's going to be as it was in broodwar, and it's going to end up destroying the Korean StarCraft 2 scene.
Really?
Yes, in my opinion, yes. Those are the only 2 possible things that are going to happen now, and I don't think Blizzard, what is Blizzard going to do, man? They're a game developer. They're just coming out with the game. They can't force anybody's hands in here. They don't have a Korean investigation team that can prosecute and hire, private detectives to look into these things. It's going to come down to if KESPA sees it's that rampant and it's that bad, they start monitoring it more. The biggest problem are the ESF teams because KESPA players actually have a lot to lose if they have a good salary or they're making a decent amount of money. People like Marine King, and I'm not saying that he's guilty or not, but he is the perfect example of people that would be susceptible to this. They get little to nothing, and then they're playing show match games, and there's nothing on the line for them. And then, you have a lot of betting in Korea. Of course, there's going to be dodgy people that are going to say, hey, man, I can make 5 to 10K off of this. I'll give you $1,000 if you throw this match. I mean, it means nothing to you anyways. Kids are poor. They want money. It's just, that temptation is that much bigger in Korea.
Yeah, well, and the thing I guess is they can't remove MVP or they can't do it in the middle of a season because it would like screw things up. So, yeah, thank you for all the details, Chris. Let's.
Very interesting.
Yeah, very. Well, hopefully something is done, and it kind of sad that players are not thinking about like the game and more about themselves. Roundtable, it's gonna be the last question on the show. Roundtable, who's the hottest girl in Game of Thrones? So, based on your two season knowledge, Nathanias, who's the prettiest?
I know. I'm trying to think about her
The name?
Like,
tell her if she's
I
like the
haven't
wife or sister.
Marjorie?
No, she's not in season 2.
Her.
Oh, yeah, she
No,
is.
hang on. She was the wife of the king or whatever that was like gay, right?
Yeah,
I don't
her.
know.
Yeah, that's Marjorie.
She was pretty hot. Yeah.
that's Marjorie.
Yeah. Thanks. HuK's got my back.
Sister.
I don't know who. Okay, I'm just. You know who I'm talking about.
I think Marjorie, man. Marjorie's the shit.
He was talking. Nathanias was talking about Marjorie, right?
I
think so.
It's
Yeah,
like
okay.
I mean,
picks
do I have to
Marjorie.
fucking Google this, bitch?
No.
Game of Thrones.
What about you,
Marjorie.
Bitch.
What about you, Morrow?
Wait, let me Google her first.
Oh yeah, totally, yeah.
Thank you.
Exactly.
I linked you in Skype.
What about
I googled it.
What
Yes.
about the girl with the dragon?
Yeah, what's her name?
Daenerys.
Come on, guys, get on your fucking shit, man.
Man, I need to like. Yeah, I think I like her more.
It's Swedish, man. She's got blonde hair going.
Yeah,
blue
I
eyes,
like the
purple
dragon
eyes.
girl.
Ooh, can do it on top of the dragon. Imagine that, man. You're like flying through the air, having sex
That
on
would
this
be
dragon.
that would be magical, man.
I'll show you the world, Daenerys.
What the?
What about you, Chris?
What you
It's
wouldn't-
like
you wouldn't go
someone
for that?
bestiality, but not quite, because you're not having sex with the dragon. You're just like on the dragon having sex.
Nathanias, if Daenerys came around like, oh, you wanna go bang on my dragon up in the fucking sky, you would say no to that?
It's practically a car, Nathanias. It's like a
Come
hot
on,
girl
man.
with like a BMW, and she's like, let's hang in the back seat. That's pretty much what's happening. But back then they didn't have cars.
I'm just. You put that image in my mind, and it just sounds so crazy, you know. I'm not saying that it's a bad
Yeah,
idea.
it would be dangerous.
Oh, yeah, no.
There's no
But
secret.
then
Strap
again,
into
if
the
you add a
saddle
dragon,
first.
add a dragon into anything, and it's dangerous. So
I'm just waiting for desRow to say like Arya or something very pedophile-like.
What?
Like,
No. What's yours?
I think Sansa's very good looking.
She's
be honest.
underage.
Is she?
Yes.
Well, calling the kettle black here.
Yeah.
I think but dude, she's very mature. She could probably dunk on me, man. She's like 5'9" or something. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
she's a kid, man.
so for me,
how old is
it's
she? No, she's legal. Come on now.
well,
Oh.
but none in the movie. Yeah. So for me, it's Melisandre. You know, whatever came out of her, but that has some potential, man.
What the fuck, dude? You're the guy that like goes to a girl's house, she's on her period, and you're like, I'm still gonna eat it. It's okay, man. Like, that's fucking gross.
What the fuck? That's
Dude.
not what I meant. That's not what I meant. No, but
You
she's
said it came out of her, and you were okay. You're like,
no,
that's hot.
no.
Dude, that's what you said. You were like, did
No,
you
but
see
she's
the
good. She's
shadow
very-
that came out of her? I'm down.
No, but she's
Dude,
very
that's fucked up.
charming. She's very charming. Let's be real.
I don't know what the fuck.
All right. So anyhow, so that concludes the show, guys. I hope you all had a lot of fun. I want to give a little bit of attention to a raffle that's going on with Corsair and a Remax. You can win a headset, you can win a mouse, and we're gonna have another one next week. So make sure to check it out. All you have to do is use Twitter and follow us. And also, I want to give a big thanks to our Patreon people. Let me call them out. Jackie, Nightfolio, Lucid, and Zelazam for being our pylons, overlords, and supply depots. Thank you for supporting us and feeding us. And let's do the shout-outs. Nathanias, where can we see you next? What are you going to be up to?
I am going to finally get back to streaming, as I am once again. I'm actually home in America. I'll be streaming twitch.tv/Nathanias probably later today. I'm also going to be doing more show matches and stuff. Zeromus kind of hinted at this earlier. I'm going to be trying to help get some exposure for the economy suggestions that he has made so that we can at the least judge it as a community if Blizzard's not going to be testing it officially in any capacity. And that's about it. I don't think WCS Challenger is for a little bit of time now. So, yeah. Shout out to my sponsors, Quest Gaming and CyberPower PC, as well as Chairs for Gaming.
Oh, Chairs for Gaming is sponsoring you now?
Yep. I actually have my chair is here, but
Nice.
they delivered it before I got to America, so it's like I have to go get it when my roommate's back this week.
Nice, cool. We share a sponsor, man. That's magical. What about you, Mark?
Aw.
Well, thanks for the invite to the show. I know I was quite hard to convince, but I'm happy we didn't, dig into the Total Biscuit thing too much.
Did you like the video where you're like people are like lifting you up and the intro?
I like that, man.
Yeah.
That's a big achievement. I have like the record in scooping.
Yeah,
What's it called? I don't know what it's called.
the Tonka truck.
Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. That was sick, man. But yeah.
Oh,
I had,
yeah.
great fun. That's it. I guess you can check out my stream at the Twitch TV/MorroW. I think I'll be streaming tomorrow, so you can check that out, I guess.
Nice. What about you, Chris, Mr. Duck? Well, actually, I
Yo.
replaced the duck. No,
No,
I
it's
didn't
still
replace
there.
the duck.
It's still
What
there.
happened to the... No.
Don't replace the duck. I like the duck. What do you mean, man?
Didn't you see the
Sure.
alternative?
No, I didn't.
Well, okay,
Anyways.
well, take a look before it's over.
Okay, what did I want to say? Oh, when we were having like the in-depth discussion, I didn't appreciate the chat like automatically going against me. I know I'm not like super edgy or anything, but giving the other side of the perspective of the argument from Blizzard's side that is like commonly never seen and everybody in this community are like super unrealistic is kind of stupid at times. So I don't care if you don't agree with me, but at least hear what I say and take it into account because I'm always just going to say, how I feel anyways.
You're talking about the economy, right?
The economy, and then even before that with
Well, with
region lock
Destiny,
thing.
yeah. Well, I think it's
both of them.
Yeah, I think it's always healthy to have two sides of the story. So for people,
Yeah, but-
if you agree with something, don't bash the other side, guys, in chat. Basically.
Well, it's not even that. It's just like I could easily just sit on here and circle jerk and go with the flow and agree with
Yeah.
like every common opinion that Reddit has every day or Twitch chat. But I actually believe in certain things, and like if you don't, then you want to be a bitch about it, then get fucked. I don't care. Anyways, Sansa is actually 19, so it's all good. And what was the last little bit? Thank you to my sponsors and my team, of course, and thank you, desRow, for being on the show.
Okay.
And of course, MorroW and Nathanias and Destiny and Rifkin and Penguin and Zeromus and
Yeah, that
everybody
was a
else.
loaded episode, man. We almost had Evelo too, but time didn't meet. We didn't have enough time. So, yeah, thank you, Nathanias, Penguin. You just said it. Like, thank you, everyone, for coming on. Thank you, everyone, for watching. You know, if you're a personality or a pro and there's ever something you want to talk about and you're listening, just hit me on Skype, and sometimes we can add you in if it doesn't, like, beat a dead horse or if it brings a new perspective. It's always fun to have more opinions and more people involved. And yeah, just the Patreon, check it out if you want to do a call-in. We haven't had a lot of call-ins lately, but that's okay. Soon we'll be reaching our goal and do more stuff with that. And yeah, my sponsors, Cheers for Gaming, Corsair, G2A, and Asus. And Nathanias, you're going to be streaming, right?
Yeah.
So after the commercials, I'll be hosting Nathanias. Thank you again for watching Remax, SC2Remax episode 36. We'll see you guys next week. Okay.
All right.